Okay, hello. I'm here with Nicole Powell from Vancouver Island, which is halfway across the earth from where I am. And it's evening here, and it's early morning for her. So it's never amazes me how technology can bring you together, even though you're on such different places in this world. But it's lovely to see you, Nicole. And hi. So usually the first thing I ask all my guests is how they go on this spiritual path. And Nicole is a medium. She does shamanic work, and she's also a very good artist, as you can see by the lovely picture behind her. So if you just want to say a little bit about how you got on the spiritual path.
Sure. Well, I like to say that since I was born as a small child, I was always very interested in spirit. Through the journey of losing my grandparents in my younger years, my teenage years, I was always very interested in what death was and what happened to people after they died. And it was always very common for me to have visitations and things like that in my sleep as well. But for me, the real crack opener was when I was 19 and my best friend died of meningitis. And it really awoke me to what grief really feels like, really where it hangs heavy on your heart. And she really inspired me in life to really go for things. And so after she died, I made the decision that I would go backpacking for 1 year by myself. And I went through Australia, New Zealand, Southeast Asia. And it was on my journey of being by myself that my spiritual awakening really started to emerge. I found that traveling on my own, I had to rely on my own intuition. And I also found that spirit led me to certain people, places, and things. And synchronicities would happen that couldn't have been done by just using my own street smarts. When I stopped to start working, when I was in Australia, I lived in the outback. I worked in a hair salon where I was a hairstylist, but it was a half spiritual store. So it was working there that the owner, she used to bring me these spiritual books and use angel cards and use pendulums, and she would do readings and crystal readings. And it was through her doing that in the same salon that I started to really show interest. And she was very interested in teaching me everything she knew as well. So it kind of woke me up to all of this. And I couldn't ever put it down from the second that doorway was opened. Well, so that's how my journey started.
Yeah, so while you were doing somebody's hair, you would pull a card or a pendulum for them, or
well, no, there was like the salon, and then there was her private office where she did aesthetics. And in the aesthetics room, she really would just do angel card readings, Reiki healing. And it's funny because that imprinted me so much that when I did come back to Canada and I was a hairstylist here for another 6 years, I would do that. I would pull tarot cards while their color was processing. I always found I was kind of just giving readings, or when I was washing their hair, I'd look in the mirror and I'd see a spirit looking back at me. So it's almost like I could not separate the two. It's like she meshed it for me. And yeah, it really enhanced my business for sure.
Yeah, I can imagine. It'd be like a hair treatment with an extra special. It's wonderful. And I mean, it's actually quite interesting that something so sad of losing a good friend at such a young age has led you on this path, you know, because I didn't know about this. And because I have known you for a couple of years, and you've been to visit us and we've been to visit Canada. But this is really interesting how spirit does put you on a path, really, you know. And now you are working. I think you're in your practice rooms, aren't you, at the moment? Yeah. So, what do you feel at this time that you should be developing for yourself or for the people that come and visit you? Is it or is it a combination of all things? Is there a little bit something you could say about that?
For sure. I find that when a client comes, I always sit and ask, what is your intention? Like, what brings you here today? And as they're speaking, I just sit and listen and let it start to sink in. And from that moment, I can decide if, okay, we're working with mediumship today, so this person needs healing through connection with loved ones. If they have a lot going on in life, it's like, okay, no, we're doing an intuitive reading. We need to pull out the cards. We need to see options, what's coming up for you. And if they're really hurting and, you know, trying to let go of something and something's burdening them, I'll put them on the table and do energy work. And sometimes I'm called to do all three. Sometimes my clients are here for 2 hours. I never know. It's almost like whatever's being called in the moment, I just get down and do the work. Yeah. And so I love having that versatility because I never feel like I'm just a medium or just a psychic or intuitive or just a healer. It's almost like it's a combination of all of it because I believe it's all spirit's work. And spirit just works through of whatever's needed for that person in the moment.
Yeah, definitely. And did you follow a lot of courses yourself to get to where you are now? Or is it all coming from your own wisdom, your own intuition? Or
No, there's been a lot of training. So it started when I was 20 at that hair salon in the outback of Australia, where I heard about angel cards and pendulums and crystal readings. But when I came back to Canada, it was around that time of 2007 when The Secret was coming out. Remember that book? Yeah. And apparently there was a huge global awakening at that time. And that I just couldn't stop reading enough books. But those books led me to going to school at Langara College and studying the integrative energy healing program there for 3 years, which was a really fascinating program. It led me into a 4th year doing a specialty in trauma and somatic-based integrative energy healing as well. And it was doing my own trauma work that I busted open as a medium. And so then I started training, I started working in a circle here, developing myself as a medium, as well as going to England to study at the Arthur Findlay College, which I've been to, I believe, 6 times, and then 1 time with you in Holland. Yeah. I think I've been over there 7 times to study. And also there was all the work here. There was studying tarot, and then the 6 years private practice that I've been doing it full time now. And I'm also studying spirit art with Lynn Cottrell. And yeah, it just feels like it just keeps going and going and going. So it's almost like spirit is always working with me, always developing me, and always showing me the next step and the next place for me to step in and look at as well.
Great. Yeah, I heard you were doing the spirit art with Lynn Cottrell. Is that something you'd like to develop more, or is it more for yourself? Or
You know, that's an interesting question, because what got me into art originally was the fact that my clients inspired me so much. I would, you know, look at them or see their auras, and I would see all these colors and symbolisms and things falling in. And I would just sit there going, I would do anything to be able to start to paint that or draw that to show them what I was seeing, right?
Yeah.
And so what was going on in my mediumship is I felt like I was working too much at one point, where I was doing 16 clients a week and I couldn't ground anymore. And I felt like I was spending way too much time in the astral planes, and I was starting to get very sick. And so art was a way to help me come back into my body and work things through as well. Because I found that when I did art, I was present and I was in the moment, and I was actually bringing the higher awareness and consciousness onto paper, which was bringing it into the 3D world. And that was really healing for me and my sensitive nature. So art's been in my life for, I'd say, about 4.5, 5 years, quite consistently. But it's only developing stronger and stronger. I'm not sure how it's going to, I don't know if I'm going to end up doing art full time or whatever. I really love doing mediumship in my practice now, but I just feel that art is just like an asset or an avenue and another doorway to open through. But I am finding now that if I'm working with a client and I get that feeling like, oh, I wish I could just draw this for them, usually after they leave, I do. And then I just send them a picture. Yeah.
Oh, great. So is it, because what I understand with spirit art is when you draw a picture of the loved one that's in spirit world. But there's also, which I spoke to Rini about the other day, is like the aurograph, which is more where you draw, like what you explained, like the symbols and what you see. And so is it more that one that you do, or is it more the portrait of the person?
Well, I wouldn't say my gift is drawing loved ones in spirit. I'd say I'm more gifted at more studied and trained myself to be able to bring through loved ones in spirit. But
Yeah.
I have a real knack for drawing guides, drawing animals, spirit guides, animal totems, autographs, very colorful, abstract art.
Yeah.
I've trained a little bit with doing loved ones in spirit, but I think I'm a long ways from, you know, really going into that one, nor do I feel like that's really my pathway either.
Yeah, no, it doesn't have to be. I was just, you know,
Yeah.
I love your art. I think it's beautiful. Have you got anything up on your website that people can look
Well,
at?
I just created some prints. So I just had some professionally photographed, done in photography. So I'm hoping to be able to create a new website in the new year with my art so that people can buy the prints as well. And I am working on a couple commissions at the moment with both animal guides.
Yeah. Oh, great. I was looking forward to seeing that website then.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So, what would you say would be your plans for the future? Where do you see yourself maybe next year after this whole period has gone by?
Well, what's interesting is that I've just finished my spiritualist ministry training at the Spiritualist Church in Nanaimo. It's called Two Worlds. And just last night we were talking about my ordination this spring. So I'm in the process of doing my exams, which I have to do 5 more papers, and then I can and hopefully I can be ordained by spring or summer if things go in the flow and well. And in the new year, we'll be starting to do services online, so on Zoom.
Good.
And lots of teaching as well. In January, I have a tarot class starting for 8 weeks. And I also have a new set of beginners starting to in January. This is their part 2. And then also just continuing with the private practice and working with spirit art and doing some commission work and planning to get my website out to have prints out this spring. And to hold myself accountable, I am going to be working with a person to make sure I actually do it, so I don't leave it all on my plate and never get it done. So someone is working with me to make sure that that gets done.
Oh, good. Well done. Oh, that's good. Oh, well done. I'm sure it will be lovely. It'll be fine. And you're saying you'll be ordained as a minister. Does that mean you can do weddings and things, or?
Well, it's interesting because yes, technically, but the licensing in BC requires another examination for weddings. And it all depends on where you are and how many ministers are ordained to do weddings in your area. So the plan is to be able to do that for sure. And I do have a wedding lined up to be doing in October.
Oh, wonderful. Well, that's really good. So I don't have any more questions. Is there anything else you would like to add or tell the people that are watching or share?
I think this the main thing is if somebody else is on this spiritual path, it's just to follow the tracks. I feel that the right teachers always show up just at the moment that you need them to. And they always disappear at just the moment that you need to push yourself moving forward. And everyone's mediumship looks completely different from one another. So to never compare or trying to be like somebody else, because like me, my mediumship path is quite diverse and quite abstract in some ways, but over the years, it's developed more into my own way that feels comfortable for me. Yeah. And when I think back of maybe 5-6 years ago, I was more trying to draw into British mediumship and do it the British way. But Spirit had other plans for me. So really just honoring the path that I was led on for myself.
Yeah. And I'm sure Spirit knows best what is good for you, what your soul needs and wants in this life. You know, you can say, oh yeah, I want to be a British medium, but then again, you are Canadian and you live in Canada. So I think Spirit is wiser than you and knows what's best for you and how you can serve them in the best way. So that's lovely. So thank you for talking to me. It's gone really fast. So, and for everyone who's going to be watching later, I will put Nicole's website below the video, so you can all look her up if you like. And if you're in her area, you can make an appointment. And she was just saying she is going to be doing some stuff online, so you can keep track of her website. And who knows, it might suit time-wise. I don't know where you are all at, but sometimes it works. So thank you again, and I wish you all the best for the future.
Thank you, Ursula. Thanks for having me.